Welcome to another episode of Price It with the J&A Capital Markets team. And I think that most of you guys, you have heard this term Price It by Geraldine and Lucas, who is actually talking about how to price resale developments for owners. But today in the Capital Markets Price It segment, we're going to talk about specific active, real life, potentially off-market plots in the market, like real one, share with you our calculation, put on a hat of a developer as well as an investor, and tell you what price we will offer and tell you actually what is the asking price. And we'll show you the back calculation to share with you how we actually established this, right? So today we have none other than our head of capital markets, Alvin, who has been building this market together with me for the past 3 years plus already. And we're going to share with you a little bit more about analysis of this particular plot in the market. And this plot is really interesting because 6 plots, 1 title, 0 ABSD, but in the market for 1.5 years. Yeah, and we want to share with you a little bit more why and how we're going to buy it, if we're going to buy it for investments, right? So you may be wondering a little bit, what's the reason why we're doing this? Okay, the reason behind that is because we know that there are a lot of people in the market, a lot of investors in the market who don't know what is the cost to take note of, how to offer, and there's just like so many opportunities and good opportunities just get sold so quickly, right? But we want to be that team, the Avengers team, to help you so that we can help you with the calculation and help you choose the right development, especially when we're talking about assets that's above 36 million. And you know what's the interesting thing here? The interesting thing here is that we actually have partnered with a lot of institutional investors, corporations, and even investors to help them with the purchase of the plots. We have fired checks of 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and we are very used to this. But we hope that we can guide you through. And if let's say you are just like, you know what, I don't want your help and your support, don't worry. Just scan the QR code, because right here in the QR code, there is going to be the top 5 plots in the different districts that we have. They can just take a look, and if you want to offer, you can offer, but we don't represent the plots. We are on the buy side team, which also means that we don't represent most of the selling side that we have. Our sell side objective, which is led by Geraldine, is to sell at the highest price possible. Our buy side objective is to be able to price it as low as possible. But of course, at the threshold price, the owners themselves, the sellers themselves, they will accept, right? So Alvin, take us away. Where is this plot, which I'm very certain you can't share, but tell me more about this plot.
We share the vicinity.
Yeah.
So let's get started right away.
Yes.
Right. So this plot, very interesting. District 10.
Lovely.
Currently, why you're looking, why Jervis mentioned no ABSD is because you're looking at 6 semi-D plot under one ownership title.
Means I can buy lah.
Yeah.
But I cannot afford. So anybody want to help? Yeah.
Yeah, can pull
some funds.
Yeah. So this is already verified with the authorities already. And in fact, we have documents to verify that this is 6 units all registered under one title.
That's right. And we are the only team in the market who actually has the black and white proof about this plot as well. And this is the amount of research that we do for every plot, just to make sure that the relevant authorities can give confirmation even before we pull the trigger, right? Because it will be a costly mistake if we don't do that, right? So this land area is about 15,723 square feet. And I heard there is just 1 km radius to
Nanyang Primary.
Wow. I didn't know that people do buy GCBs for Nanyang Primary, but we have some buyers who bought GCBs because of Nanyang Primary. So I realized that being a parent is still your parent. You still want your kid to go to the best school no matter how affluent you are. Yeah.
Which is later on we'll show you some stats, right?
Yeah.
With the latest of 2023 as well as 2024.
That's right.
Yeah. So last thing about this plot is 2-story semi-detached zoning. So this is where you the potential here, right, is to subdivide into semi-detached, which it already is, and then a 2.5-story.
And which means that you can just subdivide and sell it to 6 different owners eventually at individual title each. You're not going to have to sell it as a whole because it's not palatable to many. And another interesting thing is that you don't even have to do any rebuilding because this particular land has been rented out for some time. And this particular land, each, they're actually looking quite good, quite pristine. Just maybe have to do a little bit of an ID or an A&A inside just to make sure that it looks good. Tell me a little bit more about the past transactions in District 10 and how are we looking at in terms of pricing?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So District 10, to year 2024 all the way to year to date, I think this being the reason why, as because we're in the first quarter, so it's best to look further on a horizon all the way until 2024. So if you look at the past transaction for semi-D in District 10, any conditions. So we do have a guideline on how we actually categorize some of the conditions as well. And no strata landed freehold and or even 999 years leasehold. In a nutshell, if you look at this, right, you will notice that those red highlighted boxes are those of recent new builds transacted. Yeah, but overall, if you're looking at the average PSF, we're looking at around 2,600 per square feet.
So we're seeing a 2,600 per square foot for various types of landed, whether is it dilapidated, odd shape, all the way to new build. So that is the trading price in D10, 2,600 PSF specifically. But we are seeing that the new build ones that are all in the red boxes, right? They are transacting and trading at about 3,003, 3,007, and 3,009 per square foot.
Yep.
And the reason why we want to understand this is because we also want to understand how this current trading price will affect the future prices. One thing that we realized in the past years is that landed prices hasn't dipped. So it means the trading price, it is safe to estimate a slightly above current market value trading price. But of course, we also want to make sure that the individual land attributes and the area, the geographical area, as well as the enclaves that this particular landed is, it may be slightly different, right? All of this can't be summarized and surmised in just one video. So if you want, just come and get us to help you with it. But if not, we'll just try our best to compile everything into one video like that, right?
And also to add on, we also want to take a look at some of the original conditions, right? Because naturally, I would say most of the buyers buy into original, maybe a single story semi-detached. They will consider to rebuild. And when they rebuild, eventually whatever their base PSF is, they add on the construction plus the tax and everything. That will be potentially your new build PSF.
Absolutely.
And we want to know what's the parameter.
Absolutely. So Alvin, bring us through a little bit more about the transaction heat map of 2023 compared to 2024. Where is the hottest enclave in D10? How many transactions? And how many within 1 kilometers to NYPS? That's right.
Right. Okay, so this, some of you might find it quite interesting. I personally find this very interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
In 2023, right, if you look at the whole of District 10 or the non-strata landed as well as freehold and 999, total there is 91 transactions for 2023. Yeah. Out of which, right, within 1 km of NYPS, 42 transactions.
Wow.
And this is 46%.
Close to 50% of the D10 cabinets, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be a far cry to assume that all of them bought because of Nanyang Primary School, because, I mean, it's just coincidentally they're in the same area. But there is definitely an allure. Because the reason why we say that is because we do have a lot of buyers who are in the market who do ask us about exit strategy. And one of the key exit strategies they have is this school called Nanyang Primary School. It just makes me think that if NYPS were to shift, what would happen, right? So what about 2024?
The other school.
Yeah, right. They went to So what else in 2024? The number of transactions, did it go up or did it go down?
So there is a shift down for 2024, but it's still 1/4 of the total transactions that is within 1 km of NYPS. A total of 107 transactions, and out of which 27 transactions, right, account to be 1 km within Nanyang.
I see. So an increase in overall transactions in District 10 by about 16 in total, but there's a drop of about 15 transactions within 1 km to Nanyang. I think one of the reasons behind that is also because rarely do you see landed that is 1 kilometer to Nanyang for sale, right? I mean, you do see it, but the price is definitely a little bit more insensitive. And I mean, people who have sent their kids to Nanyang or send their kids to the good schools, elite schools nearby, they don't mind staying 2 km away from there as well. Maybe it gives them a bit of chances, and that's fine with them.
They might have some other form of access.
That's right.
For their kids as well.
That's right, right? Let's talk a little bit more about this specific plot. That is 1 kilometer in Nanyang in District 10 at 15,000 square feet. Tell me, how does this 6 plots look like? What is the land area and what's their current GFA?
Ken, let's go into the breakdown.
Yeah.
So this is the breakdown of how the plot looks like. So 6 semi-D on one title. If I were to split it from left to right, we are looking at the biggest plot at A all the way to the smallest plot at F. So land size wise, we cascade down from 3,140 square feet all the way down to 2,190 square feet. Current GFA, current built up, this is something that we have assessed on the ground and given. This is looking at 3,150 for the largest semi-D, all the way to 2,140 for the smallest.
So on first glance, right, the first thing that I see is that everything seems quite okay in size, right? I mean, a semi-D at 2,009 square feet, 2,007. Of course, we can go bigger, but of course, bigger will be way more expensive. The current GFA, as mentioned, is not built up, is not maximized yet. But for F, as the true corner semi-D at 2,190 square feet, it looks a little bit small. What are your thoughts to it?
It is.
Yep.
So actually, if you look at 2,190, more importantly, the current GFA at 2,140, current condition right now only allows it to have four bedrooms.
4 bedrooms, yeah.
Yeah. Which in today's market, of course, if you want to live in a proper landed homes, I think most people would want at least a 5 bedrooms.
Yep.
Yeah, for a bigger family.
Yep.
Even otherwise is for with helper as well, right?
Yep.
So, but don't worry, later as we dive deeper into it, we will show you what are the potential. And there is a possibility to have the 5th bedroom towards the attic level.
I understand. Clear. So just to clarify with all of you guys, we don't represent this plot at all. We are just analyzing current inventory in the market that we think is interesting. We are not selling this plot, but of course you can approach us to represent you on the buy side to buy this plot because it's an open plot in the market for sale. But that's the reason why we're sharing your objective opinion to this, right? So Alvin, can you share with us a little bit more about the potential GFA of each plot?
Can. So as you can see here, this table, we actually go on site and did a rough estimate as well as consulted some of our partner builders to see where exactly can be maximized, right? For plot A, current GFA is at 3,150 with potential estimated to be up to 4,700. I think main thing you're looking at the expansion of potentially mainly the attic level as well as the back.
Yeah.
All the way down to plot F, which is the smallest, 2,140. But it has a potential to go up to 2,500 internal built-up space.
And that helps with the 5th bedroom in the unit as well. Okay, sure. Yeah.
So now we take a look at the pricing wise, right? And before we take a look at the pricing, just to show again, this is the parts transacted. We're looking at 2,600 PSF for District 10. Of course, this is a mix of origin and new build.
Yep.
And what we do further one more step is to dive in deeper on what are exactly the current inventory of new build as well as some of the recent build, or what I like to call a designer class landed homes.
Brand new.
Yeah. So you see some of the brand news here, they are actually going up to 3,009 all the way to 4,800 per square feet in District 10. Of course, that being said, Fernhill is a class on its own. Yeah. But then you see on other areas like Coronation Road West, you have 4,400 as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some of the designer class, the recent, not new build, but recently built have white cells. Some of the ones at Duke Roads, Namli, Mount Sinai, as well, going around 2006, 2007, all the way to 3,005 as well.
Yeah, and these are all asking prices, which means that they are not current trading prices as well. But showing you this current asking price also shows you the confidence that these owners or developers have in the market that they are okay to hold it on for some time because they know that there is a high chance that a per square foot in D10 in more sought after areas will hit past a 4,000 PSF threshold price. I won't be surprised by that because in D10, D15, if we just think easily, right? When we ask someone, where is your dream landed home? Usually people will say Bukit Timah. Upper Bukit Timah maybe, right? But East Coast, right? And then they will say Serangoon Gardens, right? So this is the spillover of the demand, right? The most affluent most likely will be in the Bukit Timah or the East area. East, there is no GCB enclave. Bukit Timah is where all the GCB enclave is. So that is actually like a blanket statement to all the GCB areas, right? In D9 and 10, 11 biggest GCB areas as well. Then you'll go on to East Coast for the bigger plots detached. Then you'll move on to Serangoon Gardens, right? So I don't think there's a reason why individuals will be worried about selling below 4,000 per square foot. But as a buy side, when we come in, our job is not to help you challenge the highest price when buying. Our job is to help you get as low as possible, but at least at a price that owners want to buy, sell, right? Because if not, there will be no opportunities in the market forever already, right?
And also, we just want to make sure that at the price that we're looking at, we just want to make sure after factoring your taxes, your construction and everything,
you still make a profit.
Your sale price is still within the market range of what people are looking at
so
today.
that we can ensure that there's a safe and assured exit for you also.
That's right.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about then what do you think is the target sale price for plot A to F?
Right. Okay. So plot A being the biggest, we're looking at 13.2 all the way to plot F at 9.2.
Which is very palatable.
It is. Well, I mean, in this case, if you look at the slide before, right? Some of the new builds in the market today, the lowest being at Princess Road there is at 11.4 asking. Yeah, so being able to sell, if you have a new build semi-detached in today's market going at 9.2, 9.5, or even at 10.4, I think this is quite a safe range to assume that these plots will move relatively fast comparing to today's current inventory.
So based on the target sale price and just some quick math in my head, based on the size which I'm looking through right now, I'm seeing that the estimated per square foot for sale is about 4,000 PSF. And honestly, it's worrying because this is going to be quite a high per square foot that we are launching in the market. I mean, what do you think about this?
Understandable. It is going to break through a new PSF price point.
Which is not what I want to do as a buyer.
Yeah. So that is a risk, but of course, just the flip side of the coin, right? If we are looking at more towards the quantum play of things, you will notice that right now in today's market, a lot of the new builds are also similarly asking very close to 4,000. Yeah. There is a possibility that in the future, quantum play would matter over the PSF. Yeah.
And I have to just discuss about this point of view. I think 4,000 per square foot is something that it takes guts to estimate, right? But I don't think it's going to be that tough because I'm seeing that the highest PSF in the area for a new build has already hit 3,009 in the last transacted, but of course this is Jervois area, is totally a different asset class. And I'm seeing that there are already some plots that's already going at 4,000, 4,004, 4,008 per square foot in the area. But one thing I got to give it to you in terms of the target sale price is that in terms of quantum, it seems like it's one of the lower quantum compared to those other plots that are not within 1 km radius to Nanyang Primary School. So this is something that makes it a little bit more attractive to me. But honestly, I'm still on the fence because I don't see myself paying 4,000 exiting at 4,000 per square foot. So let's talk a little bit more about the ROE. How many months are we looking to sell for each plot? And then let's go on to the reconstruction costs, expenses, and give our viewers and myself a brief understanding of what you think the ROE will be. Yeah.
Okay, so we take a look at the reconstruction wise. In this case, postulated reconstruction at 500 PSF.
Which is high.
Yeah. I mean, we are talking about a better material because I mean, in the District 10, you don't want to scream and save on material. I mean, you were staying in prime D10.
We can do, so our partner builders do from, which is surprising to a lot of people, 250 per square foot all the way to 450 per square foot. So 500 is really honestly top
on the high side.
Which I like it. I like to inflate my figures when it comes to my costs. I love it, right?
Yeah, better over budget than under.
Precisely, yeah.
We've got on the down payment of 20% with a loan at 80%. And then, of course, for rebuilding wise, we're looking at a cumulative loan interest at 4.5% over 36 months.
Which is also quite high for the loan interest at 4.5%. But because I think for safety, we are looking at about 4.5%. So this particular play, I think some people will ask, why is it a 20% down payment? So what I'm seeing here is that you are going to be encouraging any of the investors here to buy it through a developer route. Am I right? Yeah.
Right.
So how does this work? Means the developer will purchase it, and maybe you can share with our viewers how long does it take for them to sell? What is the time horizon and stuff like that? Yeah.
So first of all, I think just to cover once again, right, for reconstruction at 500 PSF, this one is a higher estimate so that we want to buffer for any other matters. I think it was better to over budget than to under. Yeah. In this case, while there is 6 plots here, we are postulating that this reconstruction will be within every perimeter that has been demarcated for this particular plot. So A will have its own perimeter all the way to F. And then for the developer to reconstruct within this semi-D perimeter. Yeah. And so down payment wise, because it's a development route, we do know of some partners who is able to loan up to 80% loan. And some of which, right, interesting enough, we do know of financial partners who are able to provide a loan interest only during this period of time.
Clear. Yeah. So to me, when I look at it being a developer play, I think it's great, but with the reconstruction cost at 500 per square foot, it may not be a risk that I want to take because I've seen these plots before. I've seen them. They look very clean. They look very good, right? What I'll do is maybe doing an ID or A&A. So just out of curiosity, let's say someone like myself, I can't afford this. I may not even be able to afford 1 or 2 of it, but just out of curiosity, what if I decided that I want to buy all these 6 and subdivide them and then sell, right? Do I have to pay LBC charges?
I'm going to answer this in two parts. So first of all, touching on the developer side, just to let you know that because this is a 6-plot project, so anything that is 5 and above, instead of a 3 years ABSD timeline, you're looking at a 5 years
5 years,
ABSD. So that's good news for a developer as
longer
well.
time to sell,
Yeah. On an individual perspective, right, or even for a developer side, we do have, we make some checks and verification that this 6-plot, after subdividing, because it has already been demarcated, yeah. In this case, there's a high chance that there is no LBC, but it's better that we put it in a clause to then have the confirmation upon receiving the OTP and exercising it.
Understand. So this can only have 100% confirmation upon the submission of the OTP. We write into authorities with the new owner's name. And in the OTP clause, we're going to help our buyers write that we are only allow the option fee to be deposited upon approval from the authorities. Because it's going to be an expensive mistake, if this is not going to be confirmed.
Better to be sure then.
I am very confident on that. Okay, so tell me a little bit more. I think it's all about the profit margin. Tell me a bit more about what the estimated ROI and ROE is.
Can. So based on this estimation, if let's say we're looking at the target price as mentioned just now at 30.2 all the way down to 9.2, or rather 9.2 being the smallest all the way to 13.2 being the biggest, with the current asking price in today's market.
And how much is it?
At 38.8, we're looking at a 36 months ROE of 29.8%.
So means per year ROE, I'm seeing it less than 10%.
That's right.
Honestly, when I look at the 36 months ROE, I just feel that it's a little bit low because my per annum is looking at like less than 10% for the risk that I'm taking at 38 million, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that I understand that it's a big quantum. We're not going for 30 to 40% kind of risk, kind of returns, right? But I think it's a bit low.
So what do you think will be the ideal ROE that you're looking at?
I think something, of course, if it's good, right? 20% per annum. So, I mean, we are looking at about, let's say, ignore compounding, right? Maybe about 60% after 3 years. I think this is something that we can do. Yeah, I think it should be quite fair. Yeah.
So in terms of the entry price wise, we're looking at
35 maybe? 35, yeah.
Which is fair enough because if let's say I were to plot this out on the chart, right? If you were to look at the past transaction and I were to take this price, divide by per individual semi-D prices, the red one represent the individual plots. You will see that actually at this quantum wise, we will be entering at the lower side of the past transactions.
So the red dots are at 35 million.
That's right.
Okay. So you're also thinking at 35 million.
That's right.
And then the blue dots are scatter plots that as transacted prices of semi-detaches.
For the semi-detaches in these.
I hear you. Which also shows that I'm very greedy because the red one seems to be the lowest. But safest.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is something that all buyers would love. They want the cheapest, but sometimes cheapest you may miss opportunities because owners don't want to sell to you. Right. I think sale market is like this. Buyers want lowest, sellers want highest. Our job is to find a good threshold price, right? So I think this is the end of the analysis. What's going to be next is that we're going to discuss a little bit more about what we think is going to be the good entry price, a threshold price. Of course, I say $2 also can, right? But what is the best entry price that we think that maybe this is something that is fair for the seller as well, right? And what we would be able to do to be able to mitigate some of the risks or some creative deal structuring options that we may consider doing as well. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can start with you first. What do you think is a good guide price, and what do you think are some things that you may consider doing?
I think the good guide price is 35, which is as what we have mentioned based on the scatter, right? And some of the things that we can potentially look at is some of the costing. Because after all, 500 per square feet for construction site is something that I do know if you're able to achieve economies of scale and you have an expertise on this, there's something that potentially you might be able to adjust down to about 450 per square feet or even 400. Yeah.
Great. And I think that at a 500 per square foot reconstruction, right, the cost for the construction company will be around 350 to about 400 PSF, and their margin is about 100 to 150 per square foot. So I completely agree with you. 35 million seems to be a very fair price for the seller. If I can go lower, I will go lower. I hope that my exit price is not going to be above 4,000 per square foot. I hope that it's under 4,000. So there's a story that we can share when it comes to the sell side. Another thing what I would do is, I think there are two things that I would do. Number one, I may get a construction partner to bear the 350 PS average and then share profits with them, right? So that I don't have to incur like 10 million upfront. Maybe I incur like maybe 6 million instead, 4 million drop in risk. I think that's great. Number two, I may have a separate collateral contract to make sure that it's legal, right? Not illegal, with 6 different parties with vested interest to invest in my company, right? And split the profits for the 6 plots so I can diversify my risk to 6 different entities.
That makes sense.
I think that'll be better.
Yeah.
Right. And there are individuals who are looking at this way as well, I believe. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess in the capital market scene, right, one thing that we have been experiencing a lot is how do we then creatively structure some deals, right? Because at a 36 million plot, you don't want to stomach all the risk yourself. You want to share this pizza with some people, and this pizza may be rotten. This pizza may be very fresh and very nice Hawaiian pizza. I like Hawaiian. I don't know whether you guys like Hawaiian. Some people hate Hawaiian, right? A very nice pizza, right? And we have established that on this Price It episode, 35 million seems to be a fair price. If you can go under 35, it'll be better. But I want to remind us again, you can say as low as we want, but if the seller don't want to sell, right, then there's no deal at all, right? I think that this has been one of the more interesting plots that we have seen with 6 plots with a subdivision possibility. And it honestly is a dime in a dozen. You don't see opportunities like this where you can split up without LBC.
It's not every day you see a plot.
You don't have plots like this.
Yeah.
And the owners themselves would have considered doing the subdivision, but funnily enough, they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they are big time owners and they have no time to do this.
Yeah, no time to do this.
Yes, and this is like small margins to them, right? Yeah. All right. We just want to thank you so much for watching this episode of Price It with the Capital Markets team. And we hope that this episode brought you some clarity as to how we analyze deals. And this is not everything. We have a full Excel sheet that we also hope that we can share with you. So if you want to scan the QR code over here, I think when we get in contact with you, we're going to share with you all the calculations and how we do it. Some things, obviously, you know that we can't just show everything because there's some trade secrets there. Yeah. And not just that, we respect the developer partners who all have been advising us on how they have been consistently hit, profitable transactions for the past 15 to 20 years in the business, right? So we just want to respect their expertise and respect the wisdom that they have shared with us as well, right? We hope that you've enjoyed this episode of Price It. There's no BOA approach here, but there's going to be a price approach at the back. And we just hope that, you guys can understand landed investments from a different angle, right? This is Jarvis.
This is Alvin.
And we're going to see you for the next episode of Price It with J&A Real Estate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.